know, scheme master. Past the victim's door. They know exactly where the money is. They don't kill anyone. You figure there were cops here.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 action thriller Confidential Informant. The film stars Nick Stahl, Dominic Purcell, we have Mel Gibson and Kate Bosworth, and is directed by Michael Oblowitz. And the film focuses on two police detectives played by Nick Stahl and Dominic Purcell. They are ex-army comrades who served together in Afghanistan, and it shows that at the beginning. It gives you a little bit of an explanation of why they're so tight, all that kind of stuff. Nick Stahl's a little bit on the edge. His character is a bit of an alcoholic, and he's hooked on strippers and drugs, all this kind of stuff. He's heading down the wrong road. And Dominic Purcell's character is married with a young son. However, he discovers, Dominic Purcell's character, that he is essentially got cancer and he has very little time left. So he hatches a plan with his partner. They have a CI, which is a confidential informant, who informs them. He's been reliable to them for years, giving them loads of good tips. But he informs them that he is also terminally ill. So they hatch this plan. They do a robbery in order to get some money for this confidential informant, so that he can look after his family after he's gone, this CI. And in return, he has to kill Dominic Purcell's character in the line of duty, and then turn the gun on himself. So it looks like he's been killed in the line of duty, and then his family will be able to cash in on a large insurance policy so that they're taken care of. However, as you would expect with a film like this, it doesn't always go according to plan. Mel Gibson plays their chief, their captain if you like, and there is a internal affairs officer that is determined to discover who is the corrupt cops in the precinct. Right, what are my thoughts on Confidential Informant? Well, this is one of those, I mean, it's a fairly low budget affair. There's no getting away from that when it starts. And this film does not give you a good impression when it starts. It gives you terrible flashbacks to when they were in the Afghan war, terrible voiceovers that feels like it's trying to be a film noir or something. You know, you've got the Dominic Purcell's character and the Nick Stahl's character doing this weird voiceover, over-explaining things that just plain makes the film feel odd and weird, and it doesn't work at all. The characters initially seem incredibly poorly written and dull. Nobody is memorable at all to start with. Kate Bosworth is, I mean, what's happened to this woman's career? Utterly wasted in this film. Nothing to do other than play the doting wife and shed a tear here and there. And it feels like a bargain basement version of Dragged Across Concrete, if that's the film you have seen, which Mel Gibson also starred in with Vince Vaughn, with a similar plot where they decide to kind of knock over, do a heist to basically make money for themselves because they were sick of not having any money for the family and stuff. And it frustrates immensely early on, this film. And it feels like a film that is going to be a real chore to finish. Terrible first impression. And then something a little bit odd happens. It starts to pick up. Now, when you understand what the plot here is, and it takes its time to get there. When you understand the plot, that you've got this police officer, the decorated police detective who's dying with cancer, and he wants to die in the line of duty so his wife can get an insurance payout, and how they plot and plan all that. All that's part of the film actually works. It's the stuff leading up to that, and then the stuff beyond that doesn't work. You get these weird stakeouts, just an excuse to put a gunfight in here and there. You get some pointless talky scenes. And these scenes with the internal affairs investigator make you want to chuck something at the screen, because he's like the worst internal affairs investigator ever. is no evidence. He's just keeps shouting at Mel Gibson's character, "I've got a gut feeling," type of thing. And Mel Gibson, quite rightly, berates him and says, "Give me some evidence, or I'm booting you out of this building," sort of thing. And then when he thinks he does have the evidence, it's almost through blind luck that he finds it, and it's never really explained to us what this smoking gun is. This evidence he's got to back this police into the corner, sort of thing, who he thinks are corrupt. So this film is deeply flawed at times, deeply flawed at times, and it is a real chore to get through the first 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. But if you're patient, it's one of those films that, don't get me wrong, it ain't memorable, this film. It ain't going to make anybody's top 10 list of the year. It's not even going to make anyone's top 100 list year, I would imagine. It's not what you would describe as a great film. It's a competent film at best, with one interesting plot going on in it, and that's the one I'm talking about, with this police officer wanting to die in the line of duty and his CI, confidential informant, wanting to die as well. That's the best storyline that's going on here, and they tell that plot line reasonably well, and apparently it's inspired by actual events as well, so this potentially could have happened, although I would imagine the truth has been stretched somewhat for this film. But that bit makes it watchable. Everything else feels like it's almost like you're having a meal and they've put too much on the plate. So you want steak and chips, so you've got your steak and chips in front of you, and then they're putting eggs over there, they're putting peas over there, then they've got Brussels sprouts there, and then they've got mashed potatoes there, then you've got all these sauces getting shoved on it, and it just becomes too much. And that's a bit like this film. The steak and chips part of this film is decent and watchable, and it makes sense. The rest of it just feels like garnish that the film just doesn't need. Mel Gibson is, you could argue he's phoning in his performance here, but even a phoned-in performance by Mel Gibson is watchable, and he's got some cracking lines in this film. He's not in it profoundly or anything like that, but he's in it enough to make the film interesting, and every time he's on screen, he's the best thing on screen at that point. So if you like, this is more, I would say, of a thriller than an action film, because to me, the action that they put in this film is the garnish that this film doesn't need. They could have just made this a fairly tight thriller, really, and forget about the action, because it didn't necessarily need it, because the other part of the film I thought was enough. So the first 20-25 minutes of this film, you would definitely give it a 3 out of 10, because it was dull as dishwater and at times just odd. And then once you settle into the story and the story plays out, it improves significantly, but it certainly doesn't make this film a really, really good and entertaining film, but it certainly left a better impression the second half of the film than the first half of the film anyway. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.